Hi guys, welcome to another tactical video. This one is about the third and final HQ choice that I'm covering, and it is going to be about the Canoness. Now, Canonesses are quite unusual for the Sisters of Battle Codex because, for a start, they're the only choice we have that isn't a named special character. So that means if you actually want to roll on the Warlord traits table, then you have to take a Canoness. Likewise, they are the only one you can actually build up and select war gear for yourself, and relics and that kind of thing. So it's strange that we only have this single choice, and it kind of leaves things a bit limited. But before we go into that, basically I find there are about four different reasons as to why someone would take a Canoness over one of the other choices. And the first one is, as I said, they're the only one that isn't a named character. So, for example, if you're going into a tournament, or if for some reason you're playing somewhere where named characters are frowned upon, then you really have no other choice, because this is the only HQ choice in the Codex. Another option is kind of similar, is that if you wanted a cheap HQ option, well, Canoness is only 65 points space, so if you just want to get that in and then shove more troops in and stay battle-forged, you know, more specials and that kind of thing, or maybe it's a second HQ choice and you don't have the points for anything else, a Canoness is the cheapest way of getting that. I wouldn't say that's necessarily the most efficient way of building a list, but, you know, it's an option at least. Third reason is that you really want to customise the character by putting war gear on them, that kind of thing, customise them for a specific role, or that you just want to be able to roll on the Warlord traits table for one of the Warlord traits that you can't get. Personally, I find that most people take a Canoness because they want the command squad. Now I'm going to cover the command squad in a later video, so I won't go into it too much here, but generally speaking they want it for the 5 heavy weapon slots, or to create some kind of close combat unit. And that's really the reasons that people take a Canoness, and that's a bit of a shame because she's not getting taken for her own merit. She's only getting used because people want other things, and okay, sometimes that's how you should build your lists and that kind of thing, but it's almost as though she isn't offering anything to these people's armies herself. She is basically attacks, and I don't think HQs should be seen that way in the game. They should have some kind of benefit. So anyway, what does the Canoness actually give you? So first off, she's got 5 in weapon skill and ballistic skill. Being a Sister of Battle, of course, she is only strength 3 and toughness 3, which is very low. She does have 3 wounds, but no Eternal Warrior, so she could easily get doubled out by strength 6. She's initiative 4, which is better than most Sisters of Battle, so she is at least going at the same time as Space Marines, although that's not really going to save her with her 3-up save and toughness 3. She has 3 attacks base, which is quite nice, decent, and of course she's leadership 10. So decent stats. Her war gear is pretty basic. One of the things she does give you is she has the martyrdom rule, like Saint Celestine. So if she does die, which is quite likely, she basically means the rest of your army passes its Act of Faith and War Hymns tests that turn. That's okay, but of course if she dies at the end of the turn, then it's useless. The other thing is that usually, if that's happened at the end of the game, and everyone's already used their Acts of Faith, then again it's not that good. So I've really found that martyrdom isn't that useful. She has Shield of Faith, of course. She gives the unit stubborn, which is nice, and her Act of Faith basically gives the unit hatred. Now the problem with that is, of course, that you can already get hatred very easily through priests, and it's not just one use, and of course you also get fearless as well, so it's kind of cutting in on her role a little bit, but you know. Personally, I think her stats are a little bit on the low side. I think she could have benefited with higher initiative, or at least slightly better weapon skill than weapon skill 5, but I don't know. I can kind of see what they were going for. In fact, Ballistic Skill 5 is good because that means she is a shooty unit and you could build her that way quite nicely. So I think if you're going for a shooty HQ, go for her. If you're going for a close combat one, then you're probably better off with Uriah or Saint Celestine. Now, of course, she does get the relics, which is quite nice. There's one problem here, and this is unique, as far as I know, to the Adeptus Sororitas Codex. Basically, it says in the book that a model can take one of the following, which is pretty bad. Only one of each Ecclesiarchy relic can be taken per army, which is fine. But the problem is it says can take one of the following and then lists the relics. Now in most codices it doesn't say that in that wording, and you can take multiple relics per character. This one is worded specifically differently, and it's really hard to argue against it. I'm sure it wasn't intended, I'm sure you are intended to be able to take multiple ones, but without any kind of clarification on the matter, then basically you get one choice of relic for your Canoness, and that's it. And that could be a difficult choice to make. Personally, well, a lot of people favour the Mantle of Ophelia because it gives her Eternal Warrior. Personally, I'm not sure that's the best way of going. Personally, I prefer the Cloak of Saint Aspera, because that lets you re-roll all armor saving throws and Shield of Faith for vulnerable saves, but that doesn't matter because you're going to take a Rosarius anyway. But yeah, it's about the same price, and basically it means you can use her to tank, especially if she is in the command squad, which also has Feel No Pain. Anything that would double her out, or go through her armour or whatever, then just look out, Sarah away. Any kind of light fire, which would deal with a squad the size of a command squad pretty easily, she can tank it much better. And she's probably still going to die, but you know, you can use her as a tank in that way. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't bother with any of those. Like the Blade of Admonition is basically just a relic blade that's mastercrafted. It's not that good. It's going to be strength 5. Yeah, initiative 4 as well. It's the kind of thing where, if anything, I would give her a power axe or even an eviscerator if you were building her up for close combat. And that's one of the things she can work as. She can work decently in close combat. Especially if she has the command squad, as I say, backing her up. So you could give her some decent equipment, give her the Rosarius for the 4-up save, although that makes it much more expensive. Give her an eviscerator, give her one of the special pistols, like either a plasma pistol or an inferno pistol, and what you're basically making is a character designed for close combat, and of course her Act of Faith relies on that too. And she can actually kill some stuff. Now she's going to be going last, but chances are the kind of thing she's going to come up against she'll be striking last or equal initiative anyway, so it's not really going to make much difference. The thing is though, I wouldn't say this is a good idea if you have other close combat elements to your army. If you have dedicated units such as Repentia, Penitent Engines, Battle Conclave, that kind of thing, I would say you're probably better off not making this kind of build because you don't really need it, and she's not going to be anywhere near as effective. Naturally, if you do build her for close combat, she works best with a priest because she can get those rerolls of wounds and blah blah blah. But then, of course, it's kind of stepping on her toes. Personally, I would say rather than going for things like the relics, I would buy a priest instead, because you get more benefits from them, and you know, re-rolling these saves, you get that in close combat anyway, and blah blah blah, and it'd also work for your Rosarius. And I've kind of touched on it before, but the problem is with upgrading this in this way is that basically you are spending a lot of points on something, and it gets to the point where you might as well just take a named character, and it's a shame. Because I do really like the Canoness, and there are good uses for her. But as I say, you've got the close combat saying. But one of the best things I would say is basically like a gunslinger. So you could take her with some special pistols. So you could take the plasma pistol or the inferno pistol, or just leave a normal bolt pistol. and of course she can fire both of them, which is quite nice. And she can stick with her unit and just shoot basically. Like, she can take combat weapons as well if she wants to go that route. Or she could join another unit and build a similar way. So, for example, you could put her with some Retributors, you could put her with Dominions and give her a Combi Melter, or an Inferno Pistol, or even 2 Inferno Pistols. So you can dual wield them, and then she's helping the Dominions out and can scout with them. And she gives them a little bit more survivability as well. It gets expensive quick, as I say. Personally, I would favour the tank build, just because it keeps a unit alive longer, and she's benefiting your army in some way more. But as I say, as things are, the Canoness does kind of struggle to find her niche, and it's not the most efficient HQ choice because you're getting so many more benefits from Uriah Jacobus, for example, or even Celestine, although she doesn't direct the units. She doesn't affect the units like that much directly, but because of the effect she has on the table, regardless of where she is, it adds a lot more. Whereas someone sees a Canoness and they're not gonna like immediately panic or anything like that. I mean, she's a toughness 3 model with a 3-up save. It's so limited in builds, and because you can only take 1 relic. If you could take the mantle and the cloak of Saint Aspera, then you're re-rolling saves and she'd be Eternal Warrior. That would be amazing. That would be really, really good, and that would immediately make her much, much more viable. But as it currently is, I'm afraid she is kind of lacking a bit. So yeah, that's 3 ways you could use her. Of course, you could just keep her completely base, no upgrades, and just hide her if she's your Warlord, or just, like, I don't know, just throw her somewhere to claim an objective or something at the end of the game. Not the most efficient use, as I say, but then again, you got to make the most of what you have sometimes. That's about it, really. If I've forgotten to cover anything, or you'd like some more stuff on the Canoness, then let me know. If you like this video, remember to click like. Feel free to comment and subscribe, and I will be back later with more tactical videos. Thanks for watching.